Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you on a very sultry Wednesday, a very hot and humid Wednesday. Blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. You'd never know. If not for the feel of the air feels a little unsettled, but from the look of the day, you'd never guess that a cold front was coming, that major weather might be on the way. We might be getting unsettled weather. We might be getting rain, thunderstorms. The temperature, certainly over the next 2 or 3 days, is going to drop by 30 or 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a lot. My little dog Frida was up on her perch in the window, I think, for a couple of the videos that I've made today, but she eventually vacated that space to go off and lay on the nice cool floor in front of the fan because it's probably very warm here at Odd Cottage. We're probably coming. I'll finish this video and then we'll probably do another spell with the AC unit on just to cool off the temperature. I've been periodically doing that just to make sure that she's not overheating, and also we're going to have to go out at some point or other this afternoon. We can't just put it off forever. She's a very, very good dog. She is not needy. She is not incontinent. She is not bossy to me. And today she proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt, because early this morning, when it was still relatively cool, 85 degrees instead of 95, I gave her a bath, her first bath in a while. And I laid out the towels, and I laid out the bin the little tub that she was going to bathe in. I laid out the shampoo and whatnot, expecting the worst. I just reflexively go at it as though I were headed to the Battle of Thermopylae, because that's the way it's been with every dog of mine. But this dog, she is perfectly well behaved. I put her in that tub, I scrubbed her and cooed with her and washed her down and rinsed her off and dried her off. She didn't put up a fuss at all, didn't complain in the slightest. And I believe part of it is that she's a wonderful, wonderful dog, just a wonderful dog. Very obvious to me that terriers were bred for indoor human company. Very obvious. There's no atavistic hint of anything else, of any hint that this breed of dog ever did anything outside, away from humans. Never hunting, never out in the field, never herding, never anything like that. It's very obvious. But not only is she a wonderful dog, but I get she's also very smart, and I get the impression that she recognizes that although she doesn't particularly like the feeling of washing, of being underneath the flow of water, she really likes everything else about it. She likes how it makes her feel short-term and long-term. She comes out of that process and feels nice and cool. And she dries off really fast. And long-term, she feels better. It just feels better on your skin to be clean. So we did that, and it worked just fine. But even so, we're going to have to go out in the furnace. And it's going to have to be a short walk, and she's not going to like that. She's going to balk at that. But in the meantime, before we do that, I'll wrap up after this video for today, I think. But before we do that, I've got some mail. A big package from Amazon. I think I know what this is. I indulged myself in a little book shopping on Amazon. I almost never do that, but I did this time, and I believe it came just in one big floppy envelope instead of in a box. And then there is a box. So we'll do the envelope first. I'm pretty sure I know what this is. I think this is multiple books. Yes, okay. All right, the first one is a romance, How to Survive a Scandal, by Samara Parrish. Lady Amelia was raised to be the perfect duchess, accomplished in embroidery, floral arrangement, and managing a massive household. But when an innocent mistake forces her and the uncouth, untitled Benedict Astorley into a marriage of convenience, all her training appears to be for naught. Even worse, she finds herself inexplicably drawn to this man no finishing school could have prepared her for. Benedict Astorley never dreamed saving Amelia's life would lead him to exchanging vows with the hoity society miss. Benedict was taught to distrust the aristocracy at a young age, so when news of his marriage endangers a business deal, he is wary of Amelia's offer of help. But his quick-witted, elegant bride defies all expectations, and if he's not careful, she'll break down the walls around his guarded heart. And this is another one of those slightly wider paperbacks. I guess these are common now. This is wider than a normal mass market paperback by a good fraction of an inch. Let's see if the others are the same. No, see, this next one is normal size. This is Vivienne Loret. This is The Wrong Marquess. The Wrong Marquess. This is The Mating Habits of Scoundrels. Look at that. How's that for a cover, huh? Nice. You see, these are somewhat traditional Regencies in that you've got the florid colors and a hint of classical background, but very much modern Regencies in that people are wearing hardly any clothing. Elodie Parrish can feel spinsterhood breathing down her neck. That's the trouble with waiting for the Marquess next door her entire life. But Ellie knows if she gives him one last season, he'll finally propose. The only problem is her path keeps crossing with the arrogant Lord Hullworth, who's convinced she has designs on him. Brandon, Marquess of Hullworth, never wanted to be London's most elusive bachelor, or to have a horde of hopeful debutantes and their scheming mamas follow him around. His past has left him too jaded to consider marrying any of them. At least that's what he thinks. Until he meets Ellie. She's quirky, opinionated, blushes easily, and drives him absolutely wild. The only problem is she believes she's in love with someone else. So, very nice. And you can see, right? These are two different sizes. Here, let's line up one size. We'll line up one corner here. You can see this is not only taller, but wider. But it's not a full-size trade paperback. It's kind of odd. It's going to play bloody hob with my romance bookcases, that's for sure. Then what else have we got in this package? So nice. I hardly ever do this. Okay, here's another one of those wider books. I guess I still call them mass market paperbacks. This is another Regency. This is Amelia Gray, who I love. A Gentleman Never Tells, The Rogues Dynasty. And instead of a little drawing room or a colonnade and countryside, here we have a country house way in the background. So what have we got here? Viscount Brentwood is in London for one reason only, to find the perfect wife to give him sons. He just needs to choose a bride, and everything else will fall into place. But the only one falling this season is Lady Gabrielle Wintergreen, directly into his arms to steal a kiss. The last thing Brent wants is to get caught up in yet another scandal, but it seems whenever Gabrielle is near, scandal is exactly what he gets. Lady Gabrielle has no intention of becoming the Viscount's bride, no matter how charming he is, but she does need his help to get out of an inconvenient engagement, and that could mean giving in to the deceptively caring man. When he asks for her aid in a family matter, she might realize her heart was his all along. And this is once again a larger size trade paperback. So I've only got only one of these three so far is normal size. That's going to take a little getting used to. This doesn't sit quite so comfortably in the hand as something built for the size of your hand. This is not built for the size of your hand. Your fingers are slipping right off it. Interesting. I'll have to see. I've only have one other book that size, so I'll have to see. And then this last one, if I remember my order correctly, is not a romance. Yes, okay, all right. This is a normal trade paperback size. This is Star Trek, the latest Star Trek novel of the original series. So Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and in this case, Uhura. This is Christopher Bennett, and the title here is Living Memory. This is Star Trek, the original series. That's the look that they're going for here. And I get these just regularly. I get the new Star Trek novel. I think there's an original series book every other month. Not nearly as much as there used to be, but I get them anyway. I never really do tire of reading about my original crew. So what have we got here? Settling in as Commandant of Starfleet Academy, Admiral James T. Kirk must suddenly contend with the controversial, turbulent integration of an alien warrior caste into the student body, and quickly becomes embroiled in conflict when the Academy situation escalates to murder. So partly an Admiral Kirk story with no Enterprise. So this is set before Star Trek the Motion Picture. So Kirk is an admiral and Spock is in command of the Enterprise. Meanwhile, Captain Spock of the USS Enterprise and Commander Pavel Chekhov of the USS Reliant are investigating a series of powerful cosmic storms seemingly targeting Federation worlds, unstoppable outbursts emitting the very fabric of space. Attempting to predict where the lethal storms will strike next, Spock and Chekhov make the shocking discovery that the answer lies in Commander Uhura's past, one she no longer remembers. Living Memory. So I have 4 books here. I'm going to read this one first, of course. I'm going to read this today, no matter what's in the box that we have yet to open. I'll gobble this right down. So those were a little indulgent Amazon book order that I did for myself, just for the fun of it, because I've been cooped up because of the heat. So we have an original Star Trek novel, Living Memory, set in a time that most Star Trek novels don't touch, when Kirk is not in command of the Enterprise and Spock is. They give Kirk something to do. That's good. I'm wondering if Christopher Bennett will connect the warrior caste, the murder at Starfleet Academy, and also these massive cosmic storms. I wonder if they'll be connected somehow, wrapped up in the end of the book. I wonder if this tells me if anything else is coming out that I might want to know about. Maybe not. Probably not. Star Trek, the book the book series doesn't seem to have its act together to that extent. So no. So there you go. Those are the books. We have a Star Trek novel, and we have Amelia Gray, one of these wider paperbacks. Gentleman Never Tells. And then this How to Survive a Scandal, also one of these wider paperbacks. And then a normal-sized paperback, The Wrong Marquess, by Vivian Lord, who I already know that I like. So those are the brand new books, but there is another brand new book here in this box. So let's see. Let's see what we have here. Oh my! Well, this is well put together. Did it come from one of you? Ordinarily, publishers don't put this much effort into securing a box. It feels very heavy. Could it be multiple books? That'd be nice. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. What have we got here? Oh, it's multiple books, whatever it is. Oh, fantastic. Oh, my. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay, these are nature guides. These are two Peterson's nature guides. They're a household word. They're a watchword for these kinds of things. Extremely durable, extremely reliable, extremely pretty. I'm sure that at some point in your life you probably had a Peterson's bird guide. And one of these comes close to being a Peterson's bird guide. One of these is the Peterson's Field Guide to North American Bird Nests. Very, very often when you're out hiking around, you will encounter a nest and not see the proprietor, right? Because the proprietor has seen you long before you get there and has taken off. And this gives you page after page after page of laser-sharp color photos of what you will be seeing and what it means and who the proprietor probably is. The range, these classic Peterson maps, this whole thing is done on heavily laminated pages, so that you could take this out and about with you, beating in the field. That's partly what it's born for. Oh, fantastic. Look at that. It even gives you different feathers, which you will often encounter feathers without encountering their previous owners, and it helps to know what you're looking at. And this just gives you guide after guide. Fantastic. And also features on the look of the nests themselves. So that's if you don't encounter eggs. If you just encounter an abandoned nest, you'll know what you're looking at. You'll know what you're seeing. Fantastic. Just fantastic. Look at that. Peterson guides are so much fun to flip through. My days of needing this in any practical sense are long since over. But this is going to be just an absolute delight to flip through. And that's to say nothing for the next one. The next one is a little smaller. Also clearly meant to be read and maybe stuffed in a bag, although in this case it won't be animals that you're looking for. I've never seen a Peterson's guide like this before, and I'm gonna eat it right up. This is the Peterson's Field Guide to the Weather. Look at that. Nice little handy thing. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a smaller thing than the bird nest book. And this is a guide to the weather, what it means, how it happens, what things are, all just the perfect charts, diagrams, full color pictures, the perfect thing to teach yourself the basics. There are all the different kinds of clouds. To teach yourself the basics of the weather all around you, or to teach someone else. Or you take a kid through this. This will be written, this book is obviously aimed at adults. It's written for adults, but it's going to give you endless amounts of raw material to use in teaching young people about the weather all around the world. And how can it not? How can it not feel extra pointed right now? I wonder if, see, there you go. In the news lately, you have all seen this kind of map, only with that band of hot orange expanded enormously all over the place. Because how can this not feel extra relevant right now? With half the United States baking in triple-degree heat with no end in sight. Right here in Boston, we have New England, just in general, has had a bit of a heat wave. It looks like it's going to be ending later this week. So I don't know that it was ever actually a heat dome like the type that is trapping the American West. But nevertheless, it's abnormal. For Portland to have 3-4 days in a row of triple-digit temperatures Fahrenheit is drastically abnormal. It's never happened before. As far as we know, in recent climatological epochs, not just since records were kept, but for ice cores and samples and whatnot, it's never happened in millennia. And it's happening now, and it's happening all over the world. Cities routinely every summer report that it was the hottest summer they've ever had. America is going, this will certainly be the hottest year that America has ever had, beating out the record that was made last year, and that record beat out the previous years and whatnot. This is a more essential volume than ever for understanding all that sort of stuff. We're headed into here. Oh, goodness gracious. This is amazing. This is amazing. Look at that. It just describes to you how everything works. And it gives you pictures of what it looks like when it's working that way so that you don't have to guess. Oh, fantastic. Just fantastic. But we're headed into the heart of hurricane season here in the United States. And the tropics look very active, understandably, since hurricanes feed on hot water. If the surface of the ocean is hot, then a hurricane has something to feed on. And the more food there is, just think of it like plankton. The more food there is, the more storms there will be. And the worse they'll be if, for instance, the ocean is super warmed all the way up to the Bering Strait, all the way up to the Bering Current. If it's warmed all the way up to southern New England, then hurricanes will come all the way up to southern New England. Or all the way to New England. Imagine a Category 4 hurricane hitting Boston. We're all living in this era. This volume ought to be required reading for every American in the country. So that's fantastic that Peterson said. The Peterson's Guides, that's fantastic. I got 2 of them. So we got Peterson's Guide to Bird Nests, which will take a lot of the frustration out of hacking around out in the wilderness where you're hoping to see birds and all you see are nests. You will probably not be lucky enough to see a nest with eggs in it. But you'll see a lot of abandoned nests, and the patterns will be much better known to you after you study this book. And also the Peterson Field Guide to the Weather. How amazing. Something we all need right about now. And then my little spree at Amazon, we have Star Trek Living Memory, an original cast book that is not set in the first 5-year mission. It's set at a time period that is not well explored, the 2 years that Kirk was Starfleet Chief of Operations. Spock was in command of the Enterprise. In Star Trek: The Motion Picture, he leaves it. In Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, it's sort of implied that he was captain of the Enterprise as a training vessel for trainees, and didn't really have any kind of adventures where the ship was sent out to investigate something. So I should have said all along is that this takes place in between the first movie and the second movie, not leading up to the first movie. That is also unexplored territory, largely in Star Trek novels. But this takes place between the two. So we have a Captain Spock and an Admiral Kirk. And with all of the dangers involved there, right? Because we don't know where a lot of our essential cast members were. And that lays you open to the suits at Paramount. How much are they willing to let you invent about where McCoy was during those years, that sort of thing. We know for sure that Chekhov was on the Reliant because of the horrible fate that's met out to the captain of the Reliant in The Wrath of Khan. But one way or another, we have a Star Trek novel, and then we have romance novels. So A Gentleman Never Tells, one of these larger trade paperback / mass market. Then How to Survive a Scandal, also in one of these larger paperbacks. And then The Wrong Marquess, by Vivienne Lord, who's an author I know I like. So that's our mail haul for today. All brand new stuff, but some of them is brand new cheating, because some of them I went and bought myself. And I think at the end of July, I will probably do that same thing. At the end of July, what I did was just look at Amazon and ask myself, okay, let's look at books that came out in June, or maybe May, that no publisher sent you, and that you want. And that you're not going to ask for. I'm not going to ask Gallery Books for a review copy of this thing, even though I will probably end up writing about it. It just doesn't feel right to ask somebody for a review copy of a mass market paperback. But I hadn't yet seen them at the one Barnes & Noble left in Boston, so I just bought them. That's all. I just bought them on Amazon. So that's the mail for today. Don't think anything else is coming. Now I have put off this long enough. Now I have to face the music of what to do with this little schnauzer. You can hear her in the background. She is up. She is active. She wants to do something. And that runs into a brick wall, because although relief is on the way, a cold front is coming, it's not here yet. It's 95 degrees outside, and the pavement is super hot. I'm going to have to figure out, we'll go on some brief walk. If I have to carry her the last leg back here, I'll gladly do that. She needs some exercise, but it can't be much. So in other words, I'm sending you off for today, letting you know that a battle of wills is about to ensue. I'm about to have a battle of wills with a 10-pound little Teutonic terror. And I think you all know who's going to win. But anyway, I'll wrap this up, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.